Yo, we are back in the saddle again.
Yes,
this is
sir.
the Blue Collar Philosophers. Sitting across from me is Biker Mike from Mars, sipping on a very nice bullet bourbon on ice.
Yes.
And I am Kickstand, Devin Braun, and I'm drinking the same thing because we're super basic.
Super basic.
Super basic.
Just drinking a regular bourbon on ice. I like it. I'm sorry. The thing, it does seem a little bit basic.
But it is refreshing.
Oh yeah, especially with how hot it was today. Working inside a tent, essentially. Just when you have no airflow and you're just in a hut of sorts, and you're just like, I'm cooking, and you can't open windows, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. You're like, I'm just gonna be hot.
Oh yeah, I got home and Chris is like, "Why are you so grumpy?" I'm like, "Because I'm medium well." God, I'm done. I need to cool down. Talk to me in 10 minutes.
Yeah, give me a couple minutes to refresh and maybe cool down. The thing is, that's the nice thing about the pothole. I know it gets warm down here sometimes, but it's a lot cool. It's a lot usually
cooler. Start off nice and cool though.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's different though. Like a couple nights ago, we had 4 guys in here. 4 guys in here recording, talking for 2 hours. It gets hot.
Yeah.
So you want to start really, really cold.
Yeah. So I like it. My basement's
it's
a
better
lot cool.
with 2. Just the 2 of us, I'm like, it's good. The whole podcast long.
Far better than just one of us. One is hard. One is very, very difficult because you're fighting. You're fighting to engage in a way that seems natural and not
hence why with the Amateur
monologuing.
Christian podcast it turned into a one-man show into a 2-man show without even really talking about it.
It's like, we're not going to approach the subject, we're just going to do it.
It's like you just kind of became the co-host of that, without even any of us really talking about it, because talking alone to a microphone sucks. I don't know how Ben Shapiro does it. I don't know how there are certain podcasts I listen to that are just one guy shows.
Yeah, but they're very scripted, and they know what they're going to say. There's no
It's hard to do when you're used to flowing.
With that being said, now that I've had that experience, somebody's like, hey, you could have called. And I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't looking for a guest. And it's because I was thinking of them as a guest.
Not a potential co-host.
Not a potential guest co-host, of just a buddy that I got to sit down with and shoot the shit, because it's something better than just me. And it might keep me from going crazy and talking about how climate change is a joke. So bad.
I'm not sure Travis would have corrected you on the matter.
But he would have been my Kanye to make me seem like the reasonable one.
Yes.
I'd be like, I might have said the crazy thing, but he's gonna be like, yep, and the frogs.
And the frogs. That's right. He's the Kanye to your Alex Jones.
That's
he's
right.
He's the Bert Kreischer to your Joe Rogan.
I just listened to that one today. Bert Kreischer was just on Joe Rogan's podcast to promote his movie, which came out today. And I'm like, I want to go see that movie. Pretty bad.
What's it called?
The Machine. You've heard The Machine story.
Yeah, from his stand-up set. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they built a movie, like a sequel to it. They're like, oh, Bert Kreischer goes back to Russia. And then it goes crazy from there because, well, it's a pretty crazy story. And so, it looks fun, and I really want to go see it. But at the same time, it's difficult to go see movies now. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. It's an entire... It's a circus. Like, you have to just get everything lined up so that everything works correctly, where that's not the way it used to be.
Yeah, it used to be like, hey, babe, want to go catch a flick? Yeah. And then you go. Now it's like, okay, we need to find a sitter for the children, and we need to get them there before we go to the movie, and we need to line up how long they're going to be there, know exactly when to come get them, bring them home. Like, it's like,
unless you can get your in-laws, because if you get your in-laws, you don't have to pay for the sitter. If you're paying for the sitter,
then it's cost on top of cost.
Yeah, it's more cost. And then you're like, are we getting popcorn? No, we have to pay for a sitter. And so, yeah, it becomes a big show to do a show. And I remember
how long until Gideon is old enough to just be like, you're babysitting, deal with it.
3 years.
3 years?
2 years. 2 years. Ooh, yeah, we're coming up on 2.
All right. Mm-hmm. Freedom 43.
Freedom.
For 41. I don't know how old you're gonna be in 2 years.
I'll be 41. Fuck.
Freedom 41, baby.
Freedom 41.
When the oldest one can babysit and you don't give them an option.
Yeah, be like, you're babysitting. It's like, I don't want it. It's like, well, I don't want to feed you.
So we're at an impasse.
Yeah. Oh, can't even talk about what he did today. Legally.
Can't. Oh, damn it. Now I'm so interested.
I don't want to edit. I don't want to edit.
Save it for after the podcast.
It's not bad, but it's bad enough that I'm like, I can't say it. Oh, fuck.
I cannot wait to hear about this, but you guys will not.
That's right. It's nothing horrible. It's just kids being stupid, which happens.
It does. They're retarded.
Everybody called me up. He's like, Mike, you were right. I'm like, about what? He's like, something you said 3 years ago. I'm like, I say a lot of shit. You have to be a little more...
more specific.
Way more specific. And he's like, oh, kids are dumb. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, of course I was right. I know that.
Was this ever controversial?
Apparently to him, he was. Like, this guy viewed children as, like, pure and good things. And it's like, oh, they're not dumb. They're just naive. It's like, no, they don't fucking listen when they ought to. And so apparently his kid was standing up in a grocery cart.
Yeah.
And something happened. The cart got jostled, and the kid decided, you know what's great? Swan dives onto concrete. And he's like, yeah, concussion, bad. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Is everything okay? You know you can call me if you're at the hospital or whatever and you need something. I'm here. But yes, kids are retarded. They are.
The lesson from this is always trust Mike. It's amazing how often we come back to that.
It's unbelievable.
It's uncanny.
My wife says, oh, you were right about this thing. I'm like, yeah.
When is the rest of the world going to start catching on?
Yeah, sure, I might say some stupid shit, but eventually you'll come around and be like, oh, he was onto something.
Oh, yeah.
Like betting on trannies.
Oh, we've never talked about it on
here,
have we?
No, we didn't, and I want to talk about it. Betting on trannies.
Okay.
All right, so I do not consider myself a bigot. Some may consider me a bigot. I do not. With that being said...
Some of a certain political persuasion,
yes,
perhaps.
I don't believe that trans women are women, and I don't believe that trans men are men. If we are going to play that game, I will play that game. I will gladly play that game. Why? Because I love sports. If a trans woman decides to play a sport and they are ranked horribly, let's say 256 in the men's division before they decided that they were women or always women and just discovered it, whatever game you want to play, cool. That means if I bet for them to win, I should get odds on them winning by, I don't know, let's say 20 to 1. So if I bet $20, you got to give me $2,000 if I win. And I can bet on them, and you have to take that bet or you're a bigot. Because you don't actually believe that men or women or whatever, trans women are women. That's my thing. If you don't take my bet, you're a bigot. And it can be whatever sport I want. If it's a woman entering men's sport, I'm going to bet on.
Well, I mean any sport that takes bets.
No. You only got to just take my bet. If you can take my bet.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, no, like challenging somebody, like
yeah, and
specifically.
I must get odds. It can't be a straight bet of $20. No, this person was horrible in their division. You must give me odds of if all things are created equal.
Huh. So I never thought that you were talking I thought you were talking about like bookies and stuff like that.
Mm-mm.
Interesting. So okay, you're talking.
I'm talking people who stand that line.
I am wondering what would happen if Vegas started playing that game. Like how real is it when there's real money on the line?
I don't think bookies care about being called bigots.
No, I don't think so at all. Like they're like, whatever, we're making bank.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think that if if it ever becomes so normalized that there's this like mixing of sports and genders and stuff like that, it's probably going to break sports betting.
Yep. Good.
Interesting.
Good. We need to have standards.
Or sports betting will break it.
Yes, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, yeah. That may be the thing that breaks the gender sports like intermingling thing. It may be sports betting.
Yeah, because they'll be like, we can't have this. We cannot, because they can't play these games.
Oh, cool. So bookies in Vegas are going to wind up deciding that aspect of the culture war.
Yep.
We're calling it.
We're calling it. What do you figure? 2 years?
I have no idea.
I want to give it a 2-year window.
I have learned that my ability to predict time frames on how things work,
anything,
and all that
you're
bullshit.
horrible. I called Trump early, and you were like, no, and I'm like, I think so.
I was honestly surprised that many people voted for him. I was like,
what do they call it? The Barbara Streisand effect. I heard somebody use that term today, and I think it has to do with if you tell somebody they're losing, their fans are going to show up. Like, so if you tell me I'm going to lose in this voting pool, well, now everyone who thinks that I'm going to lose, that doesn't want me to lose, is going to show up. So them saying back in the day for Trump, hey, he's a loser, he's going to lose, and everyone's like, no, we're going to show up. But if you say, oh, we're winning, we're going to win. Well, if you know he's going to win, why would I show up? He's going to win. I don't have to show up.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm playing chess when the whole world's playing checkers, or I'm playing checkers and everyone else knows more than I do. I don't know. It's possible.
You're playing chess and checkers and everybody else is playing tennis.
That's right.
It's like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing over there.
Oh, no.
Let's try and hit him with the balls.
What is it, Mike Tyson? How do you make a black belt into a brown belt? You punch him in the face? Or everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face? So, have you been watching any of the hockey finals?
A little bit. I've tuned out some since my team was eliminated, but I'm still paying attention kind of peripherally. I've only watched 2 games since Edmonton was eliminated.
I was watching a bit of the Dallas-Vegas game 4, so when they had the potential of being swept, and I was watching that game, and it got tied up late in about 15 minutes into the first period, and just watching the way the Dallas Stars were playing, I'm like, if they play like this all game, they're going to win this one. I don't know, not the series, they're going to win that game, but I'm like, I don't think that's going to be enough to sustain. Like, I don't think they're going to have that. It
was one of those desperation kind of games, like, stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Edmonton had the same thing against Vegas. They were facing elimination, and they came out swinging and managed to clinch a game to stay in it, but they couldn't keep it up.
No, Vegas is monsters, man. They are a tough team.
Their ability to break up plays blew my mind. Like, I was like, oh, like our guys, our heavy hitters just could not set anything up properly.
See, that's the opposite of what I found with Florida. Florida couldn't stop a play, but once they started one, it was really hard for Toronto to break. Like, Toronto could not break their plays. They were just doing so good once they got the opportunity. They had a really hard time on defense breaking Toronto's plays. Because I was watching, I'm like, man, is this how they're playing? And then I see them turn around and just do all this stuff to Toronto. I'm like, oh, what a game. So anyways, that was a fun series to watch, so I'm excited to watch what Florida does. Let's tag on this a little bit. Your mentality when it comes to who to cheer for after your team gets knocked out.
I'm super bitter about it. Okay, so the Vegas Golden Knights eliminated my team, Edmonton Oilers. And like at first, like you were saying, like, okay, I'm gonna just bank on whoever beat my team is gonna win the cup, hopefully, so that at least I know we lost to the best.
Yes, that is my mentality. That is my St. Christopher mentality of I want my team to lose to the best. If imagine if it was like Carolina, if Toronto lost to Carolina and Carolina got swept the way they did from Florida, I'd be like, man, we weren't going to fucking make it anyways. It was all pointless. It's like, man, but watching what they did to Carolina and knowing they put up better fight than that.
Then Carolina did, yeah.
I'm
Then you're like, oh, okay.
my team would have done okay, could have done okay against that one.
Yeah,
like they might have moved forward.
Yeah. So like my mind was just like, oh, screw Vegas. Like I hope they get destroyed. And then I was thinking about it a little bit more. I'm like, maybe Mike's onto something. And maybe I'm just being a little extra vindictive than just having the Vegas be just eliminated like that. Like get swept in the next round to teach them what. Like no. I want them to have the most grueling set of playoffs they can. I want them to go 7 games with Dallas, win. And after all of that, go 7 games with Florida.
And just get shut out in the last.
And get shut out in the last one. I want them to struggle as long as they possibly can with as much hope as they possibly can have of winning the cup and then have it snatched away from them in the last minutes.
In the most humiliating way possible.
The most humiliating way possible.
That's way more vindictive than just them getting just swept.
Right?
Because it makes you feel good.
I feel proud of how vindictive it is.
I get it. I still want to cheer for Florida for the reason. I like the way they played.
They have all the disappointment of not winning the cup, and
just being so close too.
Right, and
just
none of
there,
and none of the fun of not having to work anymore.
Yeah, that's dark. Yeah. Well done. See, I don't wish that for my... I still want my team to be beaten by the winners. I'm like, we did good because obviously they're great. Look how great they are.
The beautiful thing about this is, like...
You get your cake and eat it too on that one.
Yeah, get my cake and eat it too because Oilers, at least they lost to the team that put up the biggest possible fight.
But they get fucked right up the ass.
Exactly. It really is a cake and eat it too scenario.
I like it. I like it a lot. Wow. I wish I could have come up with something like that. I'm just not that bitter. That being said, Vegas was vicious. Vegas was
I don't want them to win because they were so chippy and vicious.
That's what I mean. I'm like, you kind of want that, where Florida put up some great plays. Toronto put up a good fight, but Florida just did it better. But they weren't vicious about it. They were just well played and just smart and very tactical and tough at the same time. Like, that was a good thing. Vegas was fucking vicious. Like, they were backhanded and just... I didn't like the way they played.
No, me neither. Not a lick.
So I don't think they played honorably, so I want them to lose in a way that just salt right in the wound.
Right, exactly. So I think we're both in accord. We want Florida to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to say.
Yes.
Could you imagine Ron DeSantis, the governor or whatever he is of Florida, running for president, and then his one of the state teams gets the cup at the same time? It's like, not only did I beat COVID and I beat Disney, but now my state just won the Stanley Cup. Just all coming up aces on his end.
That would be weirdly symbolic.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it would be.
Now I'm really cheering for Florida.
Do you ever wonder if, like, you miss symbols in life? Like, if you experience them and kind of miss the boat on it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, huge. Like, look at angelic numbers. That's something that I've explained away. It's something that we like, the idea of having these numbers that mean something, and then we'll explain them away. Or astrology. Christians love to rip on how stupid astrology is. And then we'll turn around and be like, yes, but the wise men were led by a star. That's fine. That's fine. But astrology is dumb. Or the what is it? A cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. Mm-hmm. And that's a bit of an astrological understanding of how things could have been done. And I'm like, okay, there is something going on where we look to the skies for symbolic representation of what we should be doing. But then we'll explain it away. And I have a hard time with it because my materialist mindset has a hard time accepting symbolic representation.
Mm.
like metaphysical ones.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like for instance, like I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, like the whole thing with the Ukraine and the Pope and
The doves.
the dove, right? Yeah. And how, like, they release this dove to represent Ukraine and being in a state of peace. And as they released it,
A crow and a
a
raven.
like a white bird and a black bird, like zipped out to like basically attack it in midair.
Yeah.
And like you can't plan that shit. And if you told it to somebody 100 years from now, they'd be like, "You're making that shit up."
Oh yeah.
Because it's so analogous to the fact that this country, the Ukraine, is basically harried between the West and this new rising kind of Eastern power of like Russia and
Yeah,
and
the
all of its
Eastern
allies.
superpower.
Yeah, it's right. Like it's this sphere of influence type of thing, and then like the Western NATO and all that stuff. Like they're fighting over this thing.
Two
and-
corrupt influences.
yeah,
honestly.
it is. It's you're caught between Leviathan or Behemoth. pick your death.
Yeah.
Is which one it is, right? And I was thinking back to something like there's no way for me to know if this was really a sign or not, but it's something I thought in the moment, and I just thought about it the other day again, being like, I wonder what went on there, if like I missed something. Or so do you remember that mission trip we went on down to
Mexico?
Mexico.
To the Baja Peninsula.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we were building this new church for this community of native Mexicans. And while we were rebuilding it, like we were kind of taking stuff out of the old church and putting it into the new one, right? And so we took their podium or their pulpit,
Yep.
and we were going to kind of like freshen it up. We took it, and inside of it was a gigantic ass black widow that had made a nest inside the pulpit.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I wasn't involved with the.
But you remember?
I remember hearing about it and all that stuff. Like, oh, there was a
Okay.
black widow inside the pulpit.
Yeah, and we just thought like, oh frick, that's a big ass.
Well, there's
poisonous
fucking
spider.
spiders everywhere.
Yeah, but at the time I was like, poof, maybe that's prophetic, right?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but that was something
That's something that ran through your head in the moment?
No, it ran through my head, and I said it as a joke, like, "Whoo, I hope that's not prophetic," kind of thing, right? And I just thought about it now, like, holy fuck, what if that was prophetic? Like, what if that is prophetic of that particular church having poison coming from the pulpit? or like some kind of predatory thing. I'm like,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I shouldn't think that. I shouldn't project that on to that person because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like so, like this is just one of those things where I'm like, I wonder if there was if that was a sign
Or just a coincidence.
or just a coincidence. I don't know.
Just fucking
It's so
spiders.
it's probably spiders all the way down. Just. But at the same time, there's a part of my mind that is just going like, symbolic things happen in the world, and maybe there's no way for you to possibly know. But
that's the absolute definition of superstition. The word superstition means to give that which has no meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but symbolism is for the right meaning to be there.
Yes.
It's like, and it's impossible for me to know. I don't know if it's a superstitious worry or if I'm like. Or if it's like, oh, like, yeah, it's hard to say.
It's one of those things of you want to get to the throne or to the pearly gates and just be like, so, spiders? And they're like, spiders all the way down. It's fine.
Yeah, I hope so. I honestly hope so.
It was nothing.
I
It was
hope.
just a spider.
Yeah, but it's so hard for me not to just have that little niggle in the back of my mind. Like,
But what
like
could
in
you
that-
have done
in
in
that-
that moment? Hypothetically, let's just say that you were more awake and more aware and more a higher understanding of what's going on. What could you have done in that moment to change things?
I don't know.
Because I don't think that symbolic representation is always revealed to people who can do nothing.
No, it's not. I mean, for instance,
Because if you could do something, then
Yeah.
then it would be revealed to you.
Yeah, for instance, the thing that happened with the doves and Ukraine that happened at the Vatican there, right? Like, who's there to know like ahead of time to be like, oh wait, hold on, like, hey, let's go talk to then Senator Biden and Putin over here, and let's settle this ahead of time. There's no way to know. It's kind of a retroactive. You can only really see it in retroactive, hindsight.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. And that is the way that sometimes symbolism works, where it will be revealed to you. Only it's like the gun above the bar, or they say that.
Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun, yes. Yeah. Where if it is revealed in a scene, it must be used later. So it's not that it will not be used; it's that its representation will be made aware or of light later in the thing. And it could be one of those things of 20 years down the road, this church is blown up to be ginormous, but it's a cult.
Yeah, like it could be, like it's not like we haven't seen, like places that start off good have red flags, in time.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way sometimes it comes out, right? In the moment. Yeah. Jonestown, perfect example, is something that in the moment it was good. Good things were happening.
Miracles even.
Miracles were happening. But in the moment, it was fine. Mm-hmm. You didn't see it. You couldn't know. Everything was great. My wife was just texting me. She's like, you didn't tell me you were recording tonight. I'm like, last minute thing. I borderline want to invite her to come in and be like, hey, you want to join and ask us questions about our last episode?
Well, why not?
Yeah, I'll ask. Okay.
All right, let's hit pause now instead of letting everybody sit subjected through this.
All right, so that is actually where we're going to end it today, because we're going to cut this one into two parts. One with the conversation that we just had, Devin and I, and we're going to continue it with Amanda next week to talk about our interview with Mike Friesen and Mike Bruvald about their trip to Zambia. And she's going to join us because sometimes it's fun to have somebody ask questions that you may not otherwise ask yourself because you just wouldn't think of them. So that is what's going on. If you have any specific questions about that interview, about that episode that you will hear on the Amateur Christian Podcast, if you go listen to it there, feel free to send us messages and maybe we'll do a follow-up that we add on to that episode as well. So, yeah, please let us know what you think. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next week. God bless.